All right. Hey, everybody. Gaytriarchy is now live. The only person that we are waiting on is Lordy Jordy, and that's fine because he has the link. And I was running a little bit late myself. I was on a live stream for some guys, and then I had to shower and stuff. So I ran a little bit late, but here I am, and here we are. We have, as usual, Space Pan in the yellow and black little.
Hello.
And
It's a pile of clowns. It's a pile of clowns.
And we have Miss Mystery, who I know as Saiyomi. Is
yes.
No, you know what? Do you have a channel?
I do.
Oh, you do? Because I've only known you through Melissa's streams, and I have never actually even known that you had a channel technically. So cool. Well, it'll be cool to actually get to talk to you more because I was only ever chatting with you with Melissa. And yeah, Lordy will be here in a second, and we have a number of things to talk about. And oh, your boy Pat is in the audience. I have not talked to him. You know what? I was actually listening or watching one of his videos very randomly, and this is so random, he's gonna laugh when he thinks about this. For some reason, I think I tweeted at Sugar Tits last night because she was talking about Kamala Harris, who is just Kamala Harris is really, really funny to me. You know, I think she's a hysterically funny presidential candidate, and if she ends up being the nominee, it's going to be a hysterical debating session because she's so underqualified and not really very smart. I mean, she's not. I don't want to like say that she's completely stupid. I wouldn't say that she's as smart as Hillary Clinton. And she also just doesn't really have anything going for her. And so I call her Kamala Hairspray. And so I tweeted this video that I made about that. And Sugar Tits liked it. And I was like, Sugar Tits, didn't she do a face reveal at some point? So I searched for it very randomly. And your boy Pat made a video that was the thing that I could find. And he was like, damn, I always thought that she was going to be beautiful with that sexy ass voice, but look at this, she is fine as fuck. And like, it was, and she's very pretty. So I just watched your boy Pat video like last night, and I remembered that I hadn't spoken to him for a while. So what's up? How are you doing? So where the hell is Lordy? I gotta, oh yeah, send him another message. Come on. But yeah, I honestly don't really have a whole long sweeping Prince of Queens intro where I'm going to go right into the thick of talking about some thing, because I honestly have been slightly not so much paying attention to things as much as I normally would. Like, I got a new video game that I've been learning how to kind of get good at so I don't die every time. By the way, Apex Legends is actually pretty fun. It's like a Fortnite type game for serious gamers. Like, it's Fortnite is like basically like, what's cool about it is you get thrown into a world and it's a battle royale where you compete and try to kill other people that are there. But it has the approximate gameplay of a Lego adventure game. It's crap if you're actually a real gamer. You're like, oh, this is stupid. But Apex Legends is like that, but it's kind of cool. So that is all I even have to talk about for the moment. But we have plenty of articles and stuff that everybody else has been bringing up. But I don't know. So Saiyomi, why don't you just first tell the audience a little bit about your channel?
Oh, my channel. Well, my channel, I kind of talk a little bit about kind of everything, but the majority is how it is for man in society in the West for the most part. And not necessarily MRA, but I talk about a lot of the MGTOW stuff as well on my channel. Yeah.
So if you were a straight guy, would you be a MGTOW?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't really thought about it in too much depth, but I keep thinking maybe I would.
I mean, at the very
I
least, I
saw
would
that
take
some of your videos
precautions.
are mirrored on. I was gonna say I saw some of your videos are mirrored on like Pornhub, which is really funny. Which like, I think that like all the YouTubers should just do that, just like take over Pornhub. Like I wish
Exactly.
that Alex Jones would just like start posting all the Infowars shit, just like fuck it, we're gonna go here now. Like they're not gonna ban us.
Do
They
wait,
can just call the videos "Man fucks the government."
do you ever have sex with MGTOWs? Has that happened?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, but I have flirted back and forth with a couple of them, and it was reciprocated. Yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, they have like the they had like some article. I don't remember where it was printed. Maybe it was printed on some thing that I don't ever actually read. I think it maybe was on like Return of Kings or something, and it was like how feminism turned an entire generation of boys into trap chasers or something.
it wouldn't surprise me. Like, I can see like we're very popular among men these days.
Yeah.
So I say continue.
So hey, Lordy, what's up? Notice that you're here.
Hey, can you hear me? Is my microphone working?
It is. Let me turn you up a little bit though. Oh, and if I'm a little bit too loud, let me know. Because I want to make sure everybody's on a equal playing field. Because sometimes I go back and listen, and I'm like, oh my god, my mic is up louder than everyone's, and I have the loud, piercing voice that cuts right through everything. So I got to make sure that's everything's equalized. So you know what, honestly, I think that the best thing to do would maybe to go right into some of the articles, and since I know that Spaceman has been gathering some, I'm going to screen share him.
Well, yeah, so I'm an idiot. I thought the Charlize Theron thing was like actually news, but that was a couple years ago. But we were talking about dumb shit people wore on the red carpet. That's a fun topic. So I think we should start with this Billy Porter. I don't know if do we actually need to read. I think it's just like the pictures, really. That's. I need to click like a thing to screen share, right? It says I am presenting. But do I click the green thing also? There we go. If you search Spike Lee red carpet, this is a beautiful collection of thumbnails. Also, so my screen is actually fucked up, but that doesn't come through on your guys' end, does it? Like I have this row of stuck pixels. Actually, I have several rows of stuck pixels, and no matter how much like seizure things I run on my computer, they don't get fixed. So I think my computer is just like dying. But you guys don't see that, do you?
No.
Okay, good. That's how I thought it worked. So there's that, and then there's the Billy Porter tuxedo gown.
And there's the
what a triumph.
There's the lesbian activist who torched home because there was no bigots in her town that you wanted to talk about.
Oh my god, that's a great story. Yes, that was the other one.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that one now, or should we talk about the red carpet shit first?
I guess let's talk about the red carpet.
I have this open, yeah. Okay, so well, here's the first one. I'm sure we've all seen it. Just majestic.
Make sure that you're actually screen sharing something.
I don't see anything.
Am I?
Yeah, no, you have to.
Really?
No, you click the screen share thing, and then you click the share.
Oh, I have to click like that. I'm okay with this. That I can.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. How's that?
There we go.
So,
all right.
Well, let's look at this guy. And who is this guy? He's like a nobody, right?
Like
he's a singer.
It's not like an actor. I don't know. Oh, a singer. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. He's like a Broadway style singer.
What was he in? Like, why was he there?
He probably sang a song. Let's see.
He probably sang a song.
Why does anybody care?
Oh, this is a Christian Siriano.
I love Christian Siriano.
Wait,
in
was that the
Kinky
dude from
Boots.
Project Runway?
Yeah, he
was
was the winner of Project Runway,
was-
and he was only like 21, and he was
season 4.
He was this little flaming gay kid. No, but he's actually a really funny person. Like he's very entertaining.
Aw.
He was pretty funny. He was pretty. I remember him.
No, that was the
Yeah.
best Project Runway season. Like, because for some reason they actually all got along with each other, but they managed to be entertaining at the same time. It was this interesting sort of a.
I think season 3 was my favorite. I liked Laura Bennett. Like, she was my favorite.
There was a few other. Wait, was
No,
Laura?
everybody hated her. She was the
Well,
redheaded woman.
Okay, no, I'm not sure. There was this one season where they were supposed to all do different styles of dress according to different music subcultures, and there was this girl that everybody hated, and she was this white girl, and they gave her hip hop, and she didn't seem to like quite understand what hip hop style was like, and they were like, well, let's just not tell her. Like,
Oh, God.
they had this little interview with this queenie black gay guy, and they're like, we are thinking to ourselves that, like, you know, she's not really designing things that's actually like hip hop, but you know, we might as well just let her think that it is.
The thing is, I actually don't have a problem with this. Like, I like people wearing dumb shit at the red carpet, but like, this just doesn't. I don't know. It feels really, really just heavy and like overdone. Like, I feel like you could do something like this, maybe, but
I feel like
it's kind of
saying from
it's
like
really,
purely
really
from
in
a
your face.
fashionable
It's really.
perspective.
Wait,
That's
say-
him
Are
with
you
his
commenting on the fashion, or are you commenting on the meaning? Like,
Okay, well that's a thing, right? Because the meaning of it is just to be like, I'm gender fuck, right? Like that's not like there's not anything behind it, you know? Like,
oh, you know what?
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not-
he didn't get nominated for anything. He has no real reason to be there. He just wanted to get a lot of attention. So,
do you know what his thing must be? He must play the candlestick in Beauty and the Beast on Broadway.
oh, that would be perfect.
That's what he's dressed like.
he was in some TV show. He got nominated for a Golden Globe,
Oh.
but he didn't get nominated for an Oscar, and he wasn't in anything. Like,
No.
he wasn't in any movies this year.
Huh. Okay.
He just got an invite because he's like a B-list celebrity, and he wanted to make sure he got his picture in all the magazines. So, I mean, from a publicity perspective, great job. Do I think it's a great dress? Not necessarily. Do I think it's like particularly beautiful? Not necessarily. But for being able to grab some headlines and stuff, he did a great job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't like hate on
This
it.
was his second look. Was the more
The more
I don't know.
slimming.
slimming, yes.
I don't know. I kind of like the slimming one more because, like, the bigger one, it looks like it's kind of like bloated in awkward places. Like, it's all lopsided and everything. And it's like,
That's 'cause
it
he's
needs like a
standing next to his
petticoat or
man.
something.
Well,
I think
on
because it's
on this-
black too. Since it's black, you can't like tell what angle it's at, so it's just like a blob.
Mhm.
the slimming one though looks kind of like he would be on the High Vampire Council or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's like or like some like dark wizard shit. Like
Go back down to the slimming one. Yeah, that's like he would like you occasionally, you know, like if Suki was invited over to like the super fancy vampires house, there would be like 5 of them, and they'd be like, we haven't heard of your particular affliction at this time.
Meanwhile, she looks great. This actress, I think that's
That
a
is a
beautiful
pretty
dress.
dress. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it too.
She's one-upping him totally in this picture.
Yeah, she looks like she'd be in the background in Super Rich Asians or something.
She was starred in that movie.
Wait, is that Michelle Yeoh?
That looks like her. Yeah.
It does kind of look like her.
She's whoever was the lady in the movie,
The mom,
the matriarch. Yeah.
Yeah, who was also starred in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she's
great.
Awesome.
Yeah, she did such a good job as a total non kung fu role. Like, and it's so crazy to think that like what she can do actually, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just to go.
And then there's Spike Lee.
Oh yeah, let's go.
And then there's Spike Lee.
He looks.
I don't even know where to click. I just like all of it. Like,
let's go. Yeah, let's get like the full.
This is outrageous.
He looks like some cross between an outfit that Prince would have wore and a leprechaun. And
oh my goodness, honey, he is. It looks like a cop mixed with like Pee Wee Herman, mixed with like I don't even know, mixed with like a pimp and. Oh.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Spike Lee has been going strong, making a ton of movies for a really long time. Like he's probably made like 40 movies or something, you know? Like, and some of them are really bad. Like he has some pretty good movies and some of them are just horrendous. Like you can't even get 20 minutes into it. I tried to watch this movie called Sucker Free City, which was supposed to be about San Francisco, but he clearly didn't know anything about San Francisco. Like we were watching it in San Francisco and we're like, we have to turn this off. This is just completely terrible. And, but some of his movies are actually pretty good, but he's like one of those weird indie directors that's just completely obsessed with making film all the time. And I think that when you're like that, you don't end up being rich. And so what I'm thinking is that his whole presence there was sponsored. Like, you know, Feminism Incorporated is like, hey, can you wear this like completely wacky outfit that's even wackier than anything you've ever worn? Because I've never seen him dress like this. And then he goes and does this like pandering speech and acts like a total wacky ass minstrel, you know, is what he did. Like he totally was like minstreling himself. Like, look at me, I'm the kooky black man. But you know what's embarrassing about that is he made an entire movie that was a critique of black people being used as minstrels, and it was called Bamboozled, and he made that in the late 90s or early 2000s. And it was all about how black people can never succeed in entertainment unless they are basically making clowns out of themselves. And so he had to have known what he was doing. And maybe he was even making a like kind of an FU statement to people who are in the know of his work. Because he's not a stupid man. Like he said some stupid shit, but he probably got paid a bunch to do it. So that would be my guess. Because look at him.
Yeah, it's kind of dark from that perspective. Like that makes the whole thing really sad. Like even what if it's not even money? What if it's like he's like threatened or something?
Yeah,
and he knows how like demeaning it is, you know? Like
yeah, like he's gonna get Me Too'd or something.
Yeah, maybe they got the Me Too sort of Damocles over him.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad.
Well, this is it is an intentionally print. It's a tribute to Prince. That was part of it.
That was what it was.
Yeah, I guess that's the necklace.
Yeah. Check out this tweet. Is like talking about it.
Yeah.
Although it kind of creeps me out still. That necklace.
It's kind of weird.
Didn't Prince die like 2 years ago? Like, wasn't it not?
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah, that's not even current year. That was.
But I mean, I don't know. Prince was actually amazingly talented. Like he was somebody that was really worth celebrating. And so maybe he felt like he didn't get a chance. Like Prince did something as a mainstream artist that nobody, I don't think, had ever really done before. Which was that he entirely wrote, produced, and performed albums himself. Like he was a multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, singer, and he was never a very good singer, actually. Like his voice was never very good, but he could play guitar, he could play keys, he could play anything. And he actually, like, when that technology became available in the 1980s, he actually made albums entirely by himself. And so, like, if you think about that, that's actually really cool.
The thing I love about Prince is being from Minnesota. Everybody just has like really funny random Prince stories. Like I had a boss who was like, dude, yeah, one time we hired Prince's niece. She was fucking worthless. Like, oh man, I used to see him going biking on 32nd Avenue all the time, right? Or like, oh yeah, my friends were in a tribute band. It was a Prince tribute band, and like Prince didn't like us very much. And like there's just all these just like random like 6 degrees of separation because he's like, you know, he was like a dude in the community. But I never really listened to his music because I only listen to J-pop, so I'm like really out of touch.
and Eurovision.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, but that's the thing though. It was like J-pop for years and years and years, and then eventually Eurovision. Like Eurovision was like the closest to normal I got.
Yeah. Oh,
DDR music.
By the way, if you are in the chat and you have not already hit the like button, please do it. It'll help us out in the algorithm. And I am taking a look at the chat periodically. So if you want to send me some love with a super chat, would really appreciate it. That would be pretty awesome. Thank you. So, okay. Anything else about the Oscars? Is there anything to say? I didn't watch it, and I barely watched any movies this year. I think I watched like Wonder Woman and Infinity War, which apparently Spacepan didn't actually like.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, this is I don't like this at all. Like I was never super into the like Marvel movies. I think I got kind of burnt out of them. But like I went into Infinity War like, oh yeah, I've seen at least like 5 or 6 of these movies here and there. Like I've seen at least one from each franchise. I'll know who all the things are, which I did, but like I looked at the chart and it's like literally 18 freaking movies or whatever leading up to this one. And I'm just like, this is not a movie. This doesn't stand alone at all. And like, I like 0% emotional investment in it. And just, yeah, I think I'm just definitely not the audience for it.
It was like the WrestleMania of Marvel movies or something, maybe. But yeah, I mean, okay, so we've talked about it a bunch. I loved it. I think that I saw it in the theaters, and then even going home and watching it on a reasonably big screen, it's definitely not quite the same because it does have so much visual intricacy in it. And it's something that I've watched 10, 15 times by now. And if you start to really, really think about, because the acting is actually all really, really, really well done, and like just the individual, like when Gamora is repeatedly lying to Thanos about the Infinity Stone, that she knows where it is, you can tell how much she's lying. And also like she probably kind of knows that he's about to throw her off the edge, but she's pretending that she doesn't, because she doesn't want to die, and like all these different things. That is what really makes the movie really good to me. I think of it in terms of kind of like a great myth, like some done in those styles. That's why I like it. But I don't know. Was it nominated for anything? Probably some sort of something. Best special effects, best soundtrack, or some crap. But who knows? I didn't watch it.
I also watched it with a row of stuck pixels across my screen. I gotta fix this shit. This is getting so bad. Like I woke up one day and then there was a second row and I'm like, oh no. And now there's like 7 stuck rows and I'm just like, I just like my screen's just like slowly going to shit like day after day.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had this happen before. That's the real drama.
Did anybody see Macaulay Culkin tweet the Oscars? That was kind of the only entertaining aspect of it.
No, I didn't even hear about this.
Yeah, he like was trolling the Oscars on Twitter the whole time, calling people out. Like, for example, if Bohemian Rhapsody wins Best Picture, it won't be the first time an alleged sex offender directed a Best Picture. And that's because little known that Bryan Singer actually directed 3/4 of Bohemian Rhapsody, and then got Me Too'd, and then they took his name off the movie, and the last quarter of the movie was directed by someone else.
Huh.
And he just totally calls it out.
I wonder if Macaulay Culkin was sexually abused when he was young.
No doubt. No doubt. I think
Yeah,
he
he
talked about it before.
Probably, yeah. I don't know if he's, like Elijah Wood definitely has talked about it. And they were like friends, like they were in The Good Son together, which was a good movie, by the way. Do you guys ever watch that? The horror.
I never saw that one.
It was like a suspense horror movie with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood, and Macaulay Culkin was this like psychotic, like actually psychotic little kid that
Oh yeah. I know that movie.
It's good though. It holds up to this day. If you watch it again, it's a good movie.
It is good.
Super creepy.
Yeah. Macaulay Culkin was actually a really, really good actor. Like when he was a little kid, he was one of the few kids that could just like actually act. So, okay, so what's the next topic we're going to talk about? Are we going to do
hate crime hoaxes?
Yes,
hate crime hoaxes.
Fat ugly lesbian needs attention, so she pretends that people hate her, even though it really is just that nobody cares about her. Is that?
Yeah, that I have an actual article for it, but like, that kind of sums it up. That stick a bow on it. Shit.
You did have an article. You put it in Twitter. You sent it to me on DM.
I'm just looking for it. Oh, there it is. There it is. I saw it because of her face. Oh my god, she's so like cross-eyed.
Matt Christensen made a video about her. Now, I had thought that she was maybe trans, but I don't know, maybe somebody got that wrong and said so, or maybe it was just because they said LGBT activist, and so I assumed trans, because like nobody ever really talks about gays or lesbians anymore. It's always like LGBT really just means trans at this point for activism, as far as I've noticed over the past.
Well, no, I had mentioned this. I went to an HRC dinner. It was like my friend was like, I have to go to this super gay thing, and like up a +1. I'm like, okay, this will be entertaining, right? And like it was all in campaigning for Hillary, and it was all about like gay rights or whatever, but like they had nothing to talk about except for trans bathrooms things, which is like,
yeah,
okay. So more straight women are gonna get called like to say they look like men, and then they're not gonna get to use the bathroom. That's congrats. Like I'm glad this is a thing now.
By the way, thank you.
The really fucked thing about this story is she killed her
Screen share it.
Yeah,
she did. Her pets ended up dying, and you would never think a lesbian would actually do that to her pets.
Not to her dogs. God, that's horrible. Okay. Click on this thing, and then this thing. I'm so pro at this now. Wait, this is not what I'm looking for. Oh, this is return. Okay, I was going to try to find that one article you mentioned because that sounded really funny. Okay. LGBT activist burned down his own home because he was annoyed there was no prejudice to campaign against.
Oh, so it is a he.
That's the thing, yeah, because I think in Matt Christensen's video, he said she, but maybe it's just because the name Nikki Jolly, especially Nikki is clearly, that's not how a man spells that.
Yeah.
Like,
that's, yeah.
The I at the end, might as well dot it with a heart. Like that's, I don't know. How about, I'm sure this picture will clear it up.
Oh my.
Does that clear it all up?
I don't know if that's technically cross-eyed or just lazy-eyed. She kind of looks also like there's some movie, am I thinking The Goonies, or like there was that Rocky Road guy in Goonies. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, The Goonies. That's it.
Yeah.
He like loves ice cream or
Yeah,
something.
he like looked kind of like that. Like he was like this like super strong, mentally defected person that they like convinced to fight off the bad guys by giving him candy or something. It's kind of really messed up.
Yeah, it was like him and the chubby little kid became best friends. And the chubby little kid would get him to do his bidding by giving him candy.
That's how life should really work.
It is basically how life works.
Yeah.
Man,
for
like,
Sorry.
I'm just they found gasoline everywhere, which is like, if you're gonna burn down your own shit, you should just like leave a candle or something. You know what I mean? Like you know that they're gonna look into it. They always try to figure out how fires happened.
Yeah,
See,
get
that's
some like
super
really
obvious.
flammable drapes, and then I'll put a candle next to them. And
Yeah, especially as like a gay activist trying to like hoax your own shit. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, you would buy these super faggy drapes and have a scented candle. Like this makes perfect sense, right?" Like gasoline, that doesn't even make sense. You don't even know how that stuff works.
But yeah, it's really unfortunate the way that, like, I feel like it's so often lesbians who get caught with the hate crime hoaxes, like that's a known thing that they do this. And I feel like the reason that they do it is because no one cares about lesbians. Like people just don't care about them. That's their biggest problem. But B, it's like I don't think that they understand anything about how normal people socialize. Like I don't think or how people who aren't other weird activist lesbians socialize. Like they don't have contact with the outside world. And so they come up with these like obscenely stupid ideas for hate crime hoaxes, and then they get caught because it's like, well, obviously everybody who is at all aware of how people actually behave know that you're making this up, but they don't understand that. They don't understand that because they don't know anyone. Like they don't know how people think. They don't know how obvious it's going to be. Do you see what I'm saying?
And his version of how they spent the day gave him a 5-minute window for an arsonist to break in. So like he doesn't even set up his own alibi to give himself more than like a 5-minute window. I shouldn't laugh, but it is becoming like that where like the hoaxes are so common that it's just like you just kind of roll your eyes. I remember somebody shared an article with me where it was like a lesbian woman and her mother got murdered, and I'm just like, I'm seriously sitting like, what if they did hoax it? Like, like that doubtful. Like,
it was a ritual suicide pact.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
his attorney Daniel Barnett said Jolly was happy with the level of attention he had received. That's the most honest bit of it, I think.
Oh my God, Xavier Smith said, like when Magdalene Birds pretended the barber refused her a haircut. Yeah, it is actually kind of like that. Like, I don't think Magdalene Burns knows anybody who isn't a radical feminist. I don't think she would even set foot in, I mean, obviously, look at her hair. Like, she's not doing, I mean, she's probably cutting that herself. Like, if you actually look at it. And the male barbers wouldn't turn her away, but she didn't know that, I would catch her doing that just because she doesn't know anyone who's a radical feminist, and because her brain doesn't work all right because she actually has brain diseases. Like she's had two tumors removed in the past like 2 years. There's not a whole lot going on properly up in her old noggin, which I can't exactly I don't want to be as vicious as I once was to her because of it, but at the same time she definitely does not deserve my sympathy or anyone's sympathy. Like she's a horrible human being. She's the person who chased Yorick off of YouTube. It was her. She kept lying about him, and then he deleted his channel because TERFs just wouldn't leave him alone. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a shame.
So she's got problems in the noggin and on the noggin because of her hair.
Well, let's talk about TERFs a bit though, because we have a trans person, and also because I'm thinking that this new conflict of TERFs happening and gathering a bunch of steam, like they were getting a lot of people on board and like actually going out in person in the UK, and they've been doing it in San Francisco a bit. They were trying to have like a turf section of some sort of dyke march or whatever in San Francisco, but then they were chased away by the trans activists and the intersectional females or whatever. And I think it's kind of maybe this is going to be the actual official death of fourth wave feminism, because it's when intersectionality eclipses feminism. And like it's showing that intersectionality, this weird ideology of postmodernist neo-Marxism, which really is just a hodgepodge of historical communist identity politics talking points, is what it really is. It cares much more about itself, the ideology, than it does about any of the people that it associates with, and including women. So when women say this is not working for us, even though it claims to be intersectional feminism, they say screw you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting to me. Like maybe it will be the end of fourth wave feminism. Does that make sense to you guys?
It does.
What defines fourth wave feminism?
Fourth wave feminism is okay. So third wave feminism died out. It started really brewing in academia in the late 80s, but it really was in high gear through the 90s. During the Clinton administration, and it was very much victimology and like, finding new ways for females to be oppressed. And so that's probably when like rape culture was first invented. And but they did introduce intersectionality during that period, but nobody was talking about intersectionality in the 90s. It was always like, oh, we want abortions, men sexually assault us, and just like all these ways of finding social grievances when all of the systemic grievances were gone. Mm-hmm. And in fact, females were faring better than males even back in the 90s. Like even back by around 1994, when I started looking into numbers, women outweighed men on university campuses by a pretty small amount. But they did. There was more young women on university campuses. And so, the intersectionals weren't really speaking up a whole bunch. It was more just like women finding ways to claim continued victimhood, and that was actually very popular. I have a video called "How Third Wave Feminism Ended," and one of the peaks of third wave feminism, as far as I know, was a book called "Reviving Ophelia," which my mother actually read in the 1990s, and was this hugely influential book. And it's basically the personal is political because a few girls have problems in life, and so we should create a full movement to save the young girls of our nation by, giving them even more servitude and protection than they already have. And so it was written by a feminist psychologist, and it was a case study book that had, I believe, something like 6 or 8 case studies of young girls, like one with anorexia, one who I think was sleeping around a lot, stuff like that. And trying to say that all of this was because of pop culture influencing girls to, think poorly of themselves and think that they need to be skinny and think that they need to impress the boys, blah, 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 blah. But it was really just a case study book. It had nothing to do with, any sort of social, like, what's the word? Whatever the forms of psychology where they actually study lots of data, it had nothing like that. It was actually a case study thing. Mm-hmm. So it should have been entirely irrelevant, because it's like, okay, but this is like 6 to 8 girls that have problems. It has nothing to do with, social trends. But it was a huge deal. It was a bestseller for like 3 years. And all sorts of PTA associations at schools were reading it and trying to do that kind of thing. And so yeah, I mean, feminism was big in the 1990s. It sort of started with the early girl punk rock bands like Bikini Kill, and then sort of metastasized into Hole, and then got full blown into like the Lilith Fair and the Spice Girls, where it was like this sort of vaguely pop, vaguely feminist thing, you know. And then I think what kind of happened is that when Bush was elected, people started, there was some actually really good work about whether or not feminism is really productive. And the quintessential book that I think ended third wave feminism in a lot of ways was Christina Hoff Sommers' book, The War on Boys. And she was a feminist critic. She's a feminist who was a feminist critic that criticized third wave feminism, and she actually did do professional work and studied a lot of data and trends, and all the policies and the way that all the education system and everything tangibly does actually demonize males, and males are falling behind in every level of education, blah 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 blah. She published that book, and it came out this summer before 9/11. So that book came out, and it was a huge deal. It got a lot of publicity. It was probably a bestseller itself. And I think in a lot of ways that probably ended third wave feminism. And then 9/11 happened, and then everybody forgot about gender grievances for the rest of the decade, basically, because there was better things to think about. And so
and her book Who Stole Feminism is like, it was written over 20 years ago, and it literally just reads like you could have written it yesterday. Like it's creepy. There's a creepy sense to it when you're reading it, that like nothing has changed, and all these points that feminists make are just zombie points that come right back to life as soon as you strike them down.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, that's what I think would be the end of third wave feminism. But fourth wave feminism is so feminists, they're like vampires. They never go away entirely. And because they still always had the gender studies departments and crap like that. And they're substantiated into law, and there's a whole industry for them, So once they figured out that they could be bloggers and stuff, a number of them started writing blogs. And that really started happening in the late 2000s. And it didn't really pick up until, coincidentally, I'm sure, the year that propaganda was legalized on the American people. And then all of a sudden, 2013, 2014, Jezebel was on the scene. Everyday feminism was on the scene. And it was, pushed up in the algorithms on Facebook. And everybody was talking about, mansplaining and manspreading and all this stupid crap. And then, the logic became women are superior to men because non-binary. Like just these bizarre, wacky stuff. And they were all talking about intersectionality, and it was all, every way of viewing the world could be explained through intersectionality. And if they had a problem with you, they would get you fired with Twitter mobs. They would dox you and call your employers because you called one of them a cunt on the internet and some crap like that. And the internet, like social media, made all of that stuff possible. And the ideology did change a little bit because it had a lot to do with the transgenderism, which morphed from transsexuality. It took over this new thing where like trenders and straight girls calling themselves trans and saying that they're non-binary when they're just straight girls. Like they didn't even get a haircut. And also this like obsession with loving Islam, like Islam being their favorite thing in the world. It's like there's just like, oh, Islam is even better than black people. And having that all mainly be carried out on the internet. And it was very popular in universities as well. But the university professors, like the adjunct professors who were really teaching this, were more than often also writing for feminist blogs. And like if you look at the the people who write for Everyday Feminism or Jezebel or whatever, they're usually a three-pronged thing. They're activist, educator, and author, and you can find their articles on Everyday Feminism, or sorry, activist, educator, and author, and they teach at some I don't know, like City College San Francisco or some crap like that. And so that's how I would define fourth wave feminism. And I'm one of the first people that criticizes feminism that really came out and insisted that we should be specifically referring to fourth wave feminism when we think about what we're mostly dealing with, because it does differentiate itself from the TERFs. Like the TERFs are usually people who are, they have an entirely different view of feminism. And it even does differentiate itself from the third wave, because the third wave people weren't so obsessed with Islam. They actually wanted women to take self-defense classes. Like that was a big thing during the third wave. Whereas now they're just like, no, women shouldn't ever have to take self-defense, and like things like that. That's kind of their attitude. Like, why would women ever have to take self-defense classes if we can just ruin men's lives with Twitter? Like, it's sort of the attitude. So, does that make sense?
Yes.
Got it.
I guess part of the problem with using like the first, second, third, fourth wave thing is those are like temporal, right? Those are parts of time. Yet in every single like instance of it, the feminists are always infighting, and there's always different strains of thoughts within it.
Yeah.
So I kind of like using like whatever kind of feminist they identify as, like targeting that, like targeting the TERFs, or saying these are the eco-feminists, or these are these ones. But obviously there are also like overarching trends within each one. So the terms are they're useful, but they're also sometimes they're tricky to use, especially fourth wave, right? Because nobody really like the history is not settled yet. Like I remember I saw an article where she referred to the men's rights movement as the fourth wave of feminism, which I can see how that perspective kind of makes sense. Like in a world where the MRM, in a world where the MRM success, like because you could think about it, if it is about gender equality, and if you accept, like first and second wave feminism having legitimacy, like I don't, obviously, but from that perspective, you say, oh yeah, well, and then it just turns out there's men's issues now. So like, if you're a good feminist, you should be an MRA, right? Like that was, for me, that was like my earliest perspective on it before I realized like it's really all bullshit all the way down. And then I started doing the opposite, which is just treating all of it under a big blanket term, because that's the treatment it deserves.
But the thing is, I think that fourth wave feminism, because it was mainly being pushed by the feminist blogs, like all of this identity politics stuff, and even down to Black Lives Matter, which was a propaganda movement that was that came right from the top. Like Obama gave the Trayvon Martin speech, and then all of a sudden there was 3 Black queer women in Oakland who were inspired by Trayvon Martin's death and thinking, oh, that could have been my brother or my son. And so we're going to start this movement that all of a sudden gets all of the national press and attention, and Obama's praising it, blah, blah. Like, it came from the White House is what that really was. But even Black Lives Matter was a feminist thing. And so I think in a lot of ways, fourth wave feminism could easily be described as Obama era communist propaganda. Like it wouldn't be an inaccurate way of phrasing it. And it's turning out that although they were marketing it as feminism, the feminism part isn't even essential. Like it's what's more important is that you follow their rules at all the time. And one of their rules is that you better not be a TERF, and then that's when you get people like Megan Murphy writing articles saying you can have intersectionality or you can have feminism, but you can't have both, is I think what her article was. And she makes a fairly decent point, so yeah, and intersectionality, of course, is just communist particle board. So that's why I think it's kind of like worth, like, I think that the first 3 waves of feminism were at least feminism, but the fourth wave, it's like maybe, you know, maybe they were just calling it feminism because of the fact that they were anticipating Hillary Clinton being the next president so strongly that they figured, well, let's make sure to make this all with a female head because she's going to take the reins after the first guy set up the loaded the deck for her.
Mhm.
Oh my god, and don't you love all this infighting now where it's like, if you support Sanders, like, I consider you a sexist because we could have had a woman. Like is this gonna literally be the approach to any non-woman like, until we have a female president, you know? Like,
well, I mean, it'll destroy their party is what's going to happen, like, because they keep spending money in this way, and you can't just do that forever. You know, like you can't just lose elections. Like, people are going to stop investing in you, and the people that they invested money in, that they were just like, nah, I'm, you know, like the identitarians, that all they can do is talk about identity politics. It's not good, and I don't think it's really going to work anymore. And then the party is ruined, and maybe they will actually go back to coming up with some new creepy Democratic Party scheme like they always do.
Yeah,
like,
they're being directly challenged right now. Trump gave a speech today at the CPAC conference, and he straight up made fun of the Green New Deal, and he said that he wants the Democrat Party to endorse and run on that platform because he looks forward to destroying them and ripping it apart because it's so ridiculous.
He's not wrong.
that's just like what he thanked Nancy Pelosi, and like, I love it.
I'm still presenting Spacepan to everyone. I just realized I should stop.
Yeah, I kept going.
Oh, sorry, I muted you too. I did not mean to do that. Oh, Spaceman, you have to unmute yourself. I accidentally did that. Sorry. Unmute yourself, Spaceman, on the bar, not on your mic, but on the bar thingy. Upper on the top of the screen, right next to the hang up button.
The one that looks like a microphone.
Oh, child.
Well, while he figures that out,
but yeah, what you're saying is totally on point. Like, they don't have a strong path for 2020, and right now they look really foolish. And I was just recently on Facebook, and I posted something about how Bernie Sanders is a ridiculous candidate at this point and completely unreliable and untrustworthy. And one of my friends who's still a Bernie, like a dreadlocked Bernie supporter, is trying to come after, like, well, how can you say that when the current president is a criminal? And I'm like having to have a conversation where I'm like, show me the evidence. Where is there proof that he's done anything criminal at all? Meanwhile, like, you are supporting another candidate who has not even proven himself capable of accomplishing anything except be critical.
No, it's true. No, and I mean, once you've set the parameters that, identity is more important than character, and also that accusations count as evidence, then people are like, well, Trump is a white man, first and foremost, and he's a criminal because he was accused. And like, there's no getting that person out of that if they actually think that that's how things work.
Fortunately, it's a minority of people, I believe.
It is. No, it is definitely a minority of people. Like, even people that I talk to that think that they would prefer Bernie Sanders to Trump, you know, I mean, they mostly just don't really they didn't really follow 2016. They hear the nice friendly promises that everybody would like to believe in, you know, the free healthcare for all and massive minimum wage hikes everywhere, as if that's just going to change everything and make everything better. And then Bernie Sanders like saying these really absurdly stupid things like the top 1/10 of 1%, not 1%, has gotten more wealth than the rest of the everybody 40% combined, blah 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 blah. Which is like, okay, but that's I think generally always going to happen, and you, but even the otherwise wealthy people have not been pulling in money recently in the United States. Like overall, our economy has actually been doing bad, which is you know why why Trump is doing things like massively lowering the income tax rates for extremely wealthy people so that they'll want to do business in America. And it sucks that it has to come to that. Like if it was this like great utopian world where you know you had to like give incentive where you didn't have to give incentives to people to do you know their multi-billion-dollar a year business in the United States, like if they would just magically stay here, if we could get them to, then maybe we would tax them more. But the fact of the matter is that we live in a world where they can go anywhere, and so you have to actually be smart. And part of that is, you know, letting the rich get away with some things, so because it will stimulate our economy, and that is just the facts of life. It sucks. It's not fortunate, but you can't fight it, you know. So. I think you're back, Spacepan.
Yeah, no, I am. Yeah. No, that the thing is, I'm like searching for this mythical example of how the rich fuck everyone over when it doesn't involve the government. You know, like literally every single example is, oh, it's because they use the government. Like, like the worst that people have is they're like, they complain about commercialism. I've actually had anarcho-communists argue at me like advertising is violence. Like advertising is deception. It violates the non-aggression principle, right? Like they literally want a society that's free of advertising because that inhibits their freedom. But in their mind, like having a government doesn't, and like saying taxation is theft, that's too much for them, right? So there's this weird paradox that like when you acknowledge things like structural violence, they're willing to stretch the definition of all these concepts so thin and like in such a ridiculous way, but then they'll turn around and then say, oh, well, if you're ANCAP, that's too much of a standard. That's too ridiculous. I don't know. Like, but no, like the rich people aren't a problem at all. Like thank rich people. Like people, they bitch about quote unquote trickle down economics, like the worst straw man ever. Nobody calls it that. Everybody has a smartphone. If you have a smartphone, that just proves that, yeah, it's not a zero-sum game when it comes to wealth and creation. And even like the shitty corporations we have are doing a pretty decent job improving the quality of our lives. Like, despite all these government tools they have that, you know, are there to make everything shitty. So
I don't know.
Just, I have zero patience for it. Like,
I feel like there were some pretty bad examples of companies like Lyft and Uber doing crappy things. But I don't remember them off the top of my head. But this is not an area of my expertise. Like
I do think conditions are getting better. I think that yes, your point about it being about government regulation or lack of government enforcement. I think there was an issue in the previous administration where there was not enforcement of certain protections, and there was a lot of this money that corporations were having to pay towards the welfare system, and people were defrauding the system in order to get more money, and most of that was going, you know, and then you have like the Obamacare come in. And what did Obamacare do? It put the bulk of the cost on the employer, and then if the employer was not employee was not signed up in the system, then they would have to pay even more. So then they're like incentivizing them to get everybody signed up into the system, and it became another tax. And because what people don't know is that every tax that they get taken out of their paycheck, their employer also pays the exact same amount. It has to match it, at least in California. And that was strangling businesses' ability to bring on more employees, because employees cost a lot of tax money. The expense per employee is very, very high, especially in the state of California. And what that created was the drive towards the gig economy, where now companies realized that they could use the independent contractor loophole, and they didn't have to have employees anymore, right? Uber and Lyft don't have that many employees relative to their total revenue, because all of the drivers are independent contractors. And that's the big part of the controversy around how they're not employees, so they don't get protections, they don't get benefits. And that's actually an anti-Republican stance. Republicans actually support most job protection legislation. And so,
Oh, and I'm against all of that. 100%. I'm against all of that. Like,
well, are you a Republican?
no, I'm not a.
No.
Well, I mean,
so I'm not.
lesser
So I'm
evil,
talking
but,
about Republicans. So, anyways, Republicans actually support job protection policy and such. So when you have companies that are basically taking advantage of the independent contractor model, which means they have all of these people who are supposedly running their own businesses, but they're putting themselves at risk every day driving a car around. It's one of the most dangerous things a person can do. If they have no insurance, they have no kind of backup that a regular employee would have, right? And then it's a multi-billion dollar company at the same time. That's disgusting. But the only way you're going to get Uber to agree to make those people employees is if you make it cheaper for them to have employees. And that means reforming the whole tax and like welfare system.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is it's just problems to solve other problems that the government started. Like, I don't know. I really don't like I worked for Amazon Flex, had one of those jobs, and it was great. Like, the trade-off was kind of nice that I didn't have to like really deal with having a legitimate employee, It was like you show up when you want to show up, do what you want to do, get paid a little bit. Like, it was a nice way to make a little bit of money. And the bottom line is anything voluntary is good. But yeah, like the way it's set up, obviously it's not ideal, but the reason it's not ideal is, of course, because of all of the requirements that come with running a company and having all those things, especially with the healthcare too. And really, we should just get rid of all of it, like 100% of it. No minimum wage, basically no like employment law at all. Like, you just like you have contracts. We're talking about adults. Like, adults should be able to negotiate their own contracts. Just like a fundamental right. And like, it simplifies everything. Like, there's so much overhead and so much extra cost with HR and like all this stupid bullshit. And like, it's impossible to conceive of how much is wasted and how much shittier everything is because of all these things. So that's why, like, I really wish that the Republicans would just nut up and actually go small government.
Yeah, well, it's all
But I'm
around the
asking for a
desire
lot.
to be centrist, but I personally agree that until you have a drastic rethinking of the whole system, it's just going to be continually fraught with fraud, and it's going to encourage the creation of the gray markets and the black markets of under the table employment. And just because the system itself makes it so difficult, so in that regard it needs to be completely reimagined. But so does the financial system. I mean, the entire basic structure of our world, the banking financial system, is like built around tyrannical control. The IMF, right, and the United Nations are completely immune to any legal action, right? And they are two of the largest, most influential bodies in the world. And the IMF is going around the world raping countries for their resources and giving them incredible debt and ruining the lives of thousands and millions of people, yet they're completely immune to any legal action whatsoever. Like, that's the problem.
Oh yeah, like they should just end the Fed. They should get. I think they should just get rid of all of these requirements that we only have one currency. Just like seriously, the dollar needs to just collapse. We need to let that happen. Move to crypto, and I think things will suck for like a year or two, but then things will get a lot better, and then we don't have to deal with all this bullshit.
I think crypto's a trap personally, but I do think part of that's true. Like the dollar does, we need to get out of the current system.
Well, a lot of other countries are dropping the dollar for trading amongst themselves. The BRICS countries are a group of countries that are doing that when they trade amongst themselves. They're no longer using the dollar.
Exactly right. And to be completely accurate, it's the petrodollar. So when countries are trading amongst other countries, they use the petrodollar. When American citizens trade amongst other citizens, we use the US dollar. So there's a slight, but they're pegged to each other. So they're so yeah, that is true. And that's the reason that's happening, from what I've heard, is because in the past, US military was the petrodollar enforcement police. And in the present, it is no longer working for the enforcement of the petrodollar. It's doing other things. So without enforcement, countries are now able to free themselves.
By the way, I got a generous $20 super chat from Miles Kinslow. Thank you, as always. He said, "Hey, Prince, do you think Trump has changed the Republican Party for the better?" I think that everybody who's talked to me knows my answer to that, which is yes. Now, keep in mind a few things. One, the Republican Party was not a very good party, according to me, prior to Trump gutting them like a fish and, getting rid of most of everything that was there and turning them into momentarily a bunch of like lunatic freakouts, and then now it's like actually starting to change because they realized, shape up or ship out at this point.
And Trump wins, and Trump has lots of donations coming.
Yeah, and they and John McCain died.
True.
and George Bush Sr. died. And
the puppet masters.
Yeah, and so I think that the thing is that it wasn't a very good party, at least according to me. I don't know if I would say it was worse than the Democrats. I would say that they're about tied. But the Democrats have gotten worse and worse since Trump. And Trump, I mean, he could have making our nation better when he got into office would be like shooting fish in a barrel. There's so many easy things that he could do. Like his first day of office, cancel the TPP, done. You know what I mean? And then
get us out of the Paris Climate Agreement, done.
Yeah, well, and I mean, that's not an issue that I know a whole bunch about, but like what it seems like to me is it's like, okay, if China is agreeing to some sort of climate agreement, that's a bad sign. that's not a super just in terms of manufacturing and like all these things, like if it's benefiting China because they put out a lot of pollution.
They are the largest, actually.
Yeah, and by far. Like if you look on a global map of like contaminants going into the ocean and atmosphere, it's like just bleeding out of China. And so if they're okay with something, chances are it's not actually that good. And that's what I would say, but I don't know a great deal about that. But yeah, I mean, and then he does things like he's like openly pro-gay. They roll back the crap on university campuses with the kangaroo courts. Like they're saying like, no, you don't have to like try men without actual trials. He had a criminal justice reform bill. He pulled us out of wars that I used to like protest. I mean, like, what am I supposed to do? Be like, well, no, he's orange.
He
You know,
revised
like,
the VA medical system so that now people who had tenure who weren't able to be fired are able to be fired, and he gave VA veterans direct what are they choice. They have doctor choice now, so that they can actually go to a doctor of their own choosing, and then the VA will cover their expenses for them, which they've never had before. And he also is going to. He announced today that he's going to sign an executive order to protect freedom of speech on university campuses everywhere, so that if there is any evidence of campuses not supporting freedom of speech, as in the case of that guy Hayden who got punched in the face,
mhm.
they will not be able to receive federal funding.
Oh, sweet.
The Milo Act.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like he's kind of going all in. I mean, but where's the executive order for the internet? God damn it. But oh well. I mean, oh well. But yeah, so I mean, like, what am I going to do? Like, say, like, he hasn't made it. I mean, the idea, like, the mental gymnastics that I would have to come up with to claim that he somehow hasn't improved the Republican Party. You know, like, I mean, yeah, I don't entirely trust the guy. I think that there, you know, could definitely be some shadiness that I'm not aware of, and I definitely think that there is a very high likelihood that it is that by the end of his presidency, something will end up benefiting him as a businessman. Maybe by quite a lot. Like, maybe like I was saying, about I was saying to this on Lordy's timeline on Facebook. There's this crazy market of houses that are being invested, or not houses, but luxury buildings, like apartments and condos, that are mostly owned by China, in especially in on the West Coast, but in places like New York and Chicago and stuff as well, and probably in places in Florida. There's just like all this new development, and it's dramatically overvalued. Like, they were charging people way too much for these places, and they weren't even getting moved into. And it's mainly owned by Chinese
Yeah, they had
investors.
Chinese investors were also buying up the individual units and then renting them out to people.
Yeah. Well, that was like a way to get out to get the people out. Like, and once they would get all of the rent control people out, then they would just tear down the building.
Yeah.
But I actually was just on a stream before this, and somebody knew a little bit more about it than me, and they were saying that one of the reasons that they do that is because of the fact that China is just about on the verge of becoming full-blown commie again. Like, it's the sitting president, I don't remember what his name is.
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping, yeah.
Yeah, he is you know, president for life, and they're thinking that he might just try to become the next Mao Zedong. And a lot of the venture capitalist type people are thinking, oh crap, that means that if that happens, which could happen potentially any day, then the Chinese government will confiscate all of their money to put into the Marxist, you know, national bank or whatever. And so they started investing overseas, and so that they can have a backup. Backup. Yeah.
These are Chinese investors that are doing this? Yeah, wow.
Well, and they've been doing it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they're thinking that there's a chance that, you know, if the country just goes full blown communist, they'll try to all immigrate and say, like, oh, I own this building, you know, let me live here. And but then there will be a housing collapse in all the cities that they own them, because they'll be trying to maybe sell it or rent it out and make it into, you know, profitable. But it's like, okay, but you already developed all this stuff, and, you know, there isn't really that much of a demand for it. You guys, this was just your exit strategy. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be, yeah, every city that allowed this to happen could potentially face this huge disaster. It's really hard to say what's going to happen. I don't really understand it that well, but that was what it
needs to happen, though. I mean, the situation in San Francisco is really dire, and you have these luxury buildings that were built by, you know, like you're saying, likely Chinese developers and investors, who have empty units who are owned by these same people. Some of these units are being rented out. Some of them, you know, supposedly are still empty.
Oh yeah, no, there's you walk by buildings in San Francisco and there's a like a tattered now leasing sign that's clearly been up for like 6 years or something, you know?
It's terrible, and so there it needs to break, because what the frick with all these empty spaces? I mean, it's completely asinine.
Yeah. And
And
a massive homelessness crisis.
right, at the same exact time, like, oh, as if those two things aren't connected. It's right in front of our face, and unfortunately, the people who live here in the Bay just are
They're fucking
so
idiots. They're like, it's the white people.
I think it's just they're so overworked, you know, that they're just, and they're so dependent on their jobs, which make it possible for them to live here. So they're earning 6 figures or more, but they still live a middle class lifestyle because it's so expensive, and they have no time. And I mean, I go out, man, and I try to go to parties and try to have a good time, but you can just tell they're in another, they're so obsessed with their work and because it's all they do all the time, you know, and they get on buses, these big buses, big fancy buses that take them everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
And they're completely out of touch with what it means to actually be a citizen and contribute to a community.
Yeah. Well, or they just blame it on white people. And they're like, I hate techies. White people are awful. Let's make it so that everybody can immigrate to our city. No borders. I'm a Marxist. Like some crap like that.
Yeah, and somehow, like, both the people who don't have homes and are more like the angry side of it, like you said, or do have homes and are just more the apathetic side of it, like they have the same political ideologies. They're both super on the left.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's like but I always notice that the rich people, you know, people who like do have the apathetic tech worker people, I always notice that they don't really talk about it that much. Like it's like they maybe they do believe in these politics, or maybe they don't even really believe in them. They just know that they're supposed to say that they do and vote that way, and they do vote that way. But overall, they're just kind of like, let's go out to electronic music event, and do you know where there's any Coke? And then do you want to go over to my house tomorrow? We're having a Game of Thrones dinner party. You know,
Right. That's it. It's no fun for me. That's why I'm trying to get out of here.
Yeah, they're fucking boring. They're just horrifically
Like,
boring.
Once you left, Prince, like I looked at that photo of your birthday 2 years ago when we were on the roof, and I was like, damn, I haven't had a good time in like a while.
Well, you know what's funny too? That friend that we were with, the guys
Yeah.
whose house that we were at, who is like, you know, my really good friend. He, as soon as I predicted this too, I was like, you know, he was like the only person I was like consistently having fun with. Like your ex-boyfriend, him, like 1 or 2 other people I would have fun with because I could say anything I wanted to, and you know, had a fair amount of things that I was into. But I was like, as soon as I leave, he's gonna leave too. Because there's no reason that he's gonna stick around in this god awful city if I'm not here. And I was right. Within months of me leaving, he's like, I'm moving to New York, and he was gone. And like, so yeah, I mean, and yeah, it's like this weird soulless thing, and I guess people just want to move there to like live this dream that they thought they had, and they also have this imaginary, like twisted alternate way of viewing the rest of the United States as being this horrible place, but it's really not that bad. It's actually probably better than San Francisco in a lot of ways. So
yeah, there's always a statement like, oh, I could never live anywhere else. And I live with people who have that attitude, like I could never have the lifestyle I have in San Francisco anywhere else, as if it's like the most open, accepting place on the planet or something.
yeah. I don't know quite. Anyhow, it's depressing me talking about San Francisco.
I know.
But
It's a favorite.
we've talked about it a bunch but our other two co-hosts and guests have not actually, I don't think, lived there. So let's change
I'm
the subject.
I'm savoring my inner peace from just like the fact that I can just play video games and be on the internet. And I'm like, this is good. Like, no matter where I live, as long as I have the internet, I can just like watch Alex Jones screaming at Joe Rogan and everything's good.
Okay, was I the
So
one
have you
person-
heard about how Alex Jones is supposedly paid by the left to try and make all of the conspiracy people look more ridiculous?
Oh yeah, he's a gatekeeper. I actually am sympathetic to that view, especially in the wake of Pizzagate. Like I'm not saying I'm buying it completely, but like I could see it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me.
But he says so many things that are like actually true. Now, here's the thing. I was listening to bits and pieces of the Joe Rogan thing, and he was coming off like just like a crazy lunatic that was like saying all sorts of weird things. And I know that he has a tendency to do that. You know, like I would almost guess that he purposefully will say a bunch of really, really crazy stuff to fake everybody out so that when he goes back to talking about things that are real, he goes under the radar. Everyone's like, oh, well, it's just kooky Alex Jones. But then, he does an interview with Styx X and Hammer 666, and they're basically just like reciting exactly what the Democrats and the, multinationals and Media Matters and blah, 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 exactly what they do. And it's like Alex Jones is totally smart and he's right about everything. It's this weird thing. So that's where I'm more confused.
Yeah, well, it's part of the strategy. If you're going to spread disinformation and you want people to actually like fall for it, like you can't just make it purely false. I mean, you're always going to, and if it's coming from the left, means they're going to be able to give him little juicy tidbits, right, that other people won't have, which make it even more like seem like he's really well connected. And then but it's all controlled, so they decide exactly at what time, right?
But that's what he claimed himself.
But then, and then on top of it, there's the element that he was the first one to be deplatformed very, very publicly, and that was clearly a social test to see how people would respond to a notable person being deplatformed, but that not too notable and very controversial because it's Alex Jones. And the public response was pretty much like whatever, and now they're deplatforming all kinds of people. And they're using Alex Jones as the excuse.
Yeah, well, like people will ask me, they'll be like, oh, you listen to that one Alex Jones guy, don't you, right? And like you can tell that they haven't even listened to them. Their only perception of him is, oh, that was that right-wing crazy guy that got kicked off because he was so hateful and so spicy and blah blah blah. Like they haven't even like watched the show. They don't even know who he is really.
Right, and if he's a genuine truth seeker, how does creating that persona for himself help him out, make him seem more credible? It doesn't.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean,
he's an entertainer, and I think enough people can accept that to some degree he's like playing a character and that he's using hyperbole, but it's kind of the same stuff Trump does. It's truthful hyperbole.
Yeah, it's
like I really think he's not as...
Okay, I guess the best thing for me to say is that I haven't watched him enough to even have much of an opinion about this. Like, this is all speculation to me because I never got into him. Like I mostly just found him annoying. Occasionally I would watch interviews when people would come on, and then it's like, whoa, he's actually saying a lot of things that are true. That's weird. But then I would never go like start watching him again.
I try to only align myself with people who exhibit a form of dignity and that I feel I can be dignified standing next to them, and not like not just based on like, oh, whether or not he has interesting information.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, like, okay, in terms of like media personas, I'm only interested in people who show evidence. Like like you can go on and on and on about things that like sound pretty true, that kind of make sense and everything, but I'm not going to keep tuning in unless you're like actually showing the evidence.
Yes.
I just like anyone who's a character. I don't even care. Like it's just like if they're entertaining. Like I don't know. I think that our culture, it's like our culture is beneath dignity. Like the fact that people wear suits, it just like pisses me off. I'm like, why are you wearing a suit? Like, fuck you. Your culture sucks. Like, stop. Like we're the internet now. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone else, but that's how I feel.
Dignity doesn't necessarily represent me in my mind like a person wearing a suit. You know, but I do understand what you're saying about people who wear suits, and there's no point in doing that.
I guess part of it is I came from like I did a lot of like mock trial in college, right? So I've dealt with a lot of people who are like going into law, and like it became so obvious to me how much of like these more like elitist styles are, especially in like the law world. There's all this like pomp and circumstance and all this ceremony, right? And it's all about like this appearance and everything, and it's all so fucking fake. And it's just like it really seems to me that the more serious and like refined and clean cut a person tries to present themselves, like the more they're just compensating for not really like having real dignity.
Yeah,
So, like, I
that's
kind of like it when
definitely.
somebody can, yeah, like so when someone like Alex Jones can come out there and be like as like off the wall as he is, and then still get a great point across. Like to me, that's kind of like it's like you did a trick, you know? Like it's awesome.
Yeah,
So
Like,
yeah.
yeah, you can shoot a hoop, but he did it
how
while
would
spinning around, you know?
how would Jordan Peterson respond to you then? Because he has a
I don't
very
know. He would
different
say
view on
something and
that.
he would sound like Kermit the Frog. Like,
You know, he would have a completely different opinion about what it means for a person to take care in their dress or take care of their space and with that, in terms of lifestyle. And
Maybe, I don't know. I don't really know what he would say. I'm not. And I mean, we're not people who worship Jordan Peterson by any means. We appreciate a number of the things that he says, but like we do not think of him as the great by any means. I don't.
and
I
ask
don't.
him why he doesn't wear makeup. I don't know. I can see a lot of his perspective, like the whole clean your room thing, as making sense from like a really utilitarian perspective, but I get there's more to it than that. But I don't know. Joseph Pineda had asked us a couple of questions. Before he asked about the Chinese social credit system, and now he's asking about automation. I have hot takes. I think both of those are good things.
well, I had
Why?
heard that the social credit system turned on the Chinese, the like Chinese leaders,
Oh.
because
No,
the
yeah, like the
AI
thing is,
went after them and held them accountable by the same rules they were holding all the Chinese people accountable by.
oh my God, that's just like when they tried to automate like employment and then it just started like refusing all the women. Because the robots know. And they're like, shit. But no, like if you ask someone like me, like, well, how are we gonna have this without a government? How are we gonna solve this? How are we gonna that? Like, well, the social credit system kind of answers a lot of those questions. The problem is it being monopolized and it being hijacked by government, right? So like, yeah, it has a capacity to do all these horrible things, but it really just ties back into here's an example of a company doing a horrible thing because they colluded with the government. And I know it's like really boring and cliche that I always like it always comes back to that, but like it really is that simple. If we just got rid of the government, we could let the social credit system and all the robots just like deal with everything. And automation is a good thing too, because like, yeah, it destroys jobs in like the short term, but ultimately it creates more prosperity and more efficiency and more wealth. You know, it's the seen and the unseen. Yeah, exactly. There's you
It's more of a
see things
surplus.
disappearing. Yeah,
And then
it's
the
just too
credit
hard to
system,
articulate the unseen balance.
the
Sorry, go
credit system
ahead.
is not only like, oh, it's a negative or it's punishing people. They also have like rewards as well. It's like there's like a good to the bad for the Chinese credit system. So a lot of people are actually taking advantage of that part as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, that makes sense actually now that I think about it with just longer than 30 seconds. I think that the thing that everybody fears is like, oh no, the SJWs will ruin everybody's life and then they will be in charge. But everybody hates SJWs. Everybody hates SJWs. And the problem is they don't care because they don't have to care.
And the
issue is that, like, if you look at Patreon as kind of like the patient zero for this style of thing, and like people saying, wow, like this is a bunch of bullshit, we want to make our own thing, and then all of the top-down issues that these new alternative sites are facing, like that's more of the struggle. And with these social credit systems, because it's not going to be one, it's going to be multiple different competing ones. The question is, are all of the ones that are legitimate and not SJW, are they all going to get shat on, you know, the way like Patreon did and the way that Subscribestar got nuked and everything like that?
We need a social credit system that doesn't impose, but actually learns from the people, and then from understanding and analyzing the people is able to determine what the ethics are for the, you know, for an efficient system, and then and then help to guide that. And that whole process needs to be transparent. But if you have anything that imposes something on the people, then it won't be able to take in, you know, that will collapse. That kind of rigidity won't be able to handle it.
The problem though is, like, if you look at Snapchat, like they have like a really, really creepy, massive database of everyone's faces, and all they had to do is be like, hey, do you want to wear some dog ears? Like, you know, like it is really like the consumer has a role in it too, right? Like the consumer has to kind of be smart, and I think that that's something not a lot of people are ready for.
The idea though of a social, like being able to earn value through your action as a citizen, meaning like if you're picking up trash or something and you actually get rewarded for that, is kind of a nice idea, because it answers the question for all of the people who are unemployed and how they can continue to contribute.
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be a thing where they're going to start having like minimum social wage for every fucking nice thing you do, and then people like they're gonna like refuse to do anything. Like, I'm not gonna fucking say hi to you. Like that's 16 points worth of facial muscles. I mean, shit, isn't that already a narrative in feminism, right? Like, I shouldn't be expected to smile at you or be happy to you or blah blah blah. Like,
yeah. I deserve to be able to just not actually be a normal person at all.
Or when they're spewing their bullshit and then they're like, oh, I didn't have to educate you.
Oh yeah, no, that's
well,
that.
They might not have to smile at people, but they can't throw their trash on the ground. You know, that's the difference.
I wonder how many times like a feminist professor has unironically said, "It's not my job to educate you."
Right. That's a good point. It's kind of like when I was in middle school, and I the kids who were this was in the 90s, we were first starting to dress like alternative, you know. It was probably in like 1993, 1994. So we're like, kids would like dye their hair and stuff like that. And there was these, you know, gangster girls, you know, black girls, I guess is the best way to describe them. They'd be like, "Girl, what's wrong with you? It's not Halloween." And then literally on Halloween, one time that was said, it was so awesome. It was like some girl being like, "It's not Halloween. Actually, Shaniqua, it is. It is Halloween." And she's like, "Oops." It was so good.
Xavier said that the robots would make a patriarchy. I think it would make a homo state, a trap no homo state, a gaytriarchy.
Awesome.
Right there, we could finally go somewhere where you go to a club and the music has enough bass. Like, finally.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Is that a problem for you? I don't have that problem.
Well, sorry, we don't all live in San Francisco. That's the one freaking thing you get right. You gotta get a homelessness crisis, but at least your club's got bass.
It's true.
At least the gays got one thing right.
So I feel like I had a question for Saiyomi before, but I don't remember it at this time, and I feel bad. Does anyone have any questions for Saiyomi? Because trans woman who's into MGTOW stuff, I feel like there's a lot there.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a ploy,
That's sort of what I said before.
right? That's the stereotype of it. Like, did you ever feel like you have to like come out ahead of that narrative? Like, you're like, no, seriously, I'm not just doing this to try to trick anyone. Like,
Yeah, because it's like I'm pretty much out of the game, as far as, I'm pretty much not seen as a man in society and a lot of other things. I'm not necessarily a woman legally, so yeah, I don't have to deal with any of the shit. So I'm just saying it from what I see from perspective of living, I guess, both genders or whatever. Or at least socially.
I wonder if one part of it too is a lot of straight men are really like they really want sympathetic female voices. So if they can talk to a trap who's like, yeah, these things suck about being a man, then like it kind of fills that need that I think that a lot of like just like straight women and like bio women like really aren't filling. Because people always think about it in like a sexual way. They're like, oh, like then they want attention from women, right? But like I think that there's probably also kind of a more sentimental element to it that I think maybe people don't really think about very often.
Yeah, I do get like a lot of comments and stuff like that in some of my videos, especially like for newer people that haven't seen my other stuff that know I'm a tranny or whatever. So they're like, oh, finally, this woman gets it right, or stuff like that.
It's like she gets it a little too right.
Or either that, or it's like, oh, or they like go crazy on me, like, oh, you're not a unicorn, you're just like all the rest. I'm like, well, dude, actually, I'm more like you than you know.
That's funny.
I think you're right, though. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask. That is a thing that you encounter with the skepticism, because that's one of the things that the honey badgers talk about. Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna be on Fireside Chat again on Monday. So if anyone wants to tune in, I'll be on Honey Badger yet again. But they've talked about how they've encountered a lot of very, very like I guess vitriolically suspicious men.
Yeah.
But you get that too.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I expect that at some point. I expect at least some of that.
Huh. It's so funny. Like a number of the things that people complain about in terms of like Chadwick Moore, who comes on my streams, and he's been on Gaytriarchy once. He complained about, he complains, he gets it all day, every day, people calling him a self-hating gay, which is, it's so not true if you know him. Like, it's like, I don't know where, like, if you actually know him, and especially if you know his history and like how many gay guys he used to hang out with. I knew him, in San Francisco and in New York is when we hung out, and like where we saw each other. The places where you would go, it's like all gay guys. Like if you found a woman there at all, it would be like, oh, who invited you? You know what I mean?
Or she'd be in full drag.
Yeah, she'd be like Lady Gaga walking around, and that was like what his social reality was like. And you talk to the guy at all, he's like obviously pretty not self-hating. There's like he thinks that the Republican Party is the best party for him in his identity politics stuff. Hold on, I have to take a call real quick because I think it's the food that I ordered. They're calling me. Hold on.
Wait. Wait, what was the point he was making? Republican Party and identity. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it was that Chadwick Moore is like he gets called like a self-hating gay all the time, but he's like totally not. And like that's what I like about this show is because I think that so many people when they encounter the SJWism and the feminism and all that bullshit, like they kind of correctly perceive that there's an alignment of gay people with all that bullshit, and then they kind of make a generalization. And I think it's really important that we have at least some people out there saying like, no, like hashtag not all, hashtag this not all,
It's odd for me, like when I am talking to, like, if I'm talking to a guy and that I'm interested in, and then I'll drop that I do this podcast, and then he'll be like, well, what's the podcast about, and I'll try and drop it really gently, but always the same reaction is just silence, like they just don't know how to proceed.
What do you say when you describe it to such a guy?
I usually just say it's a focus on gay men's issues, like.
And they say how absolutely.
I tell
and they
people
say,
it's
and they're
anti-feminist.
thinking like how absolutely dare you? Like it still just boggles. It's like, okay, if you want to find a self-hating gay man, I don't think we have to look very far. I've actually considered I've been going through a lot with my personal life, and I realized that I don't have an in-person support network of people that I actually really can count on, like aside from like Sister Danger, who is a very busy person, but we've hung out, talked about stuff, but like my family is all a bunch of cunts. I shouldn't say that because I'm going to get demonetized now. My family is rude. They're not. They're not good people. None of them. Like I can't even name a single person that I can talk to in my family at the moment. And there's one friend that I have that I've known for a very, very long time who's really, really nice, but she has a small kid, like who's like 2 or something, maybe 3 at this point, but she rarely finds time away. She have to like get a sitter for 2 hours, and then she has to like leave as soon as it's over, and it's like a thing. Maybe she can leave the kid with a sitter for a little bit longer now but I'm realizing maybe I should start to meet gay friends in my city and go on Scruff and be that guy that's like, I'm literally actually looking for friends. But I'm like, what would I put on it? And I was thinking to myself, I was like, hey, I'm that guy who's actually looking for friends because I realize I don't go out into the world enough. I'm not bad looking, but I'm probably not going to end up sleeping with you. I also probably don't like your politics. I'm definitely not a leftist. So if you have something rude to say to me about that, you can certainly try, but I'll read you to filth. Or if I sound like fun to you, hit me up.
I think you need to throw in the you're looking for friends, that you need to throw in that you play games, because there's a lot of gamers.
Oh yeah, it's true. I'll be like, I'm a serious gamer. I'll annihilate you at Overwatch. Don't try me.
Yeah, you just tap into the gamer web. There's like, I'm sure there's got to be like gamer drinking nights and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have more platonic apps, I think.
But they'd all be, intersectionals, like for the most part. Like I wouldn't be. I need to find people who are.
You're like specifically trying to weed them out through the profile.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't need to even put myself through that. I don't even need to waste my time having it be an issue.
Right. I know. So should we make T-shirts or maybe like a placard that you wear around your neck when you go out?
I don't actually know. I mean, and it's so absurd, the Stockholm syndrome of gay men. Like, like Trump goes ahead and says that he's going to go on the Save the Gays Around the World crusade, and then Out Magazine calls it racist, and guys are like not really saying anything. They're like, yeah, maybe it is, or so, you know. It's like you would think that it would be people besides us and Chadwick Moore, who used to be an editor at Out Magazine, you know, that would be complaining about this. But
I like so I was in a bar the other night just listening to people talk around me, just eavesdropping on people, and I'm listening. It was a gay bar, and I'm listening to this guy.
Can you come and visit me so that we could do that together?
Yeah, I do want to come up to where you are. I definitely do.
Okay.
So I'm listening to the guy talk about how he was drunk one night outside of a club. I don't know what club. I don't know if it was a gay club or not, but he was with his friends, and he sees like the typical drunk girl, drunk guy outpost club street situation going on. And this gay guy, who had clearly been programmed by the Gillette commercial, decided he needed to white knight her, like knight in shining armor.
About that.
No, this
is my moment.
This is new.
A different
this
one?
is recent. This is new.
It's an epidemic.
and he gets it, but it's worse because he inserts himself. He like gets aggressive with this guy, like basically fights him off. The girl pretends like she's grateful, like, oh yeah, I have to deal with that all the time. Thank you so much for, helping me or whatever. Like, of course she deals with it all the time and she would have been fine. So, so she leaves. And then once she leaves, of course, the guy comes back and beats the shit out of the gay guy.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. You need to start a channel and like talking about these things. Like, you don't even have to script your videos. Like, just talk about them so that people have something to look at your channel of. Because I feel like it would be worthwhile.
Okay. I gotta like write these nuggets down. They just come to me when we're talking. I'm like, oh yeah, I heard this the other night.
Well, I mean, and it's not even, it's just like the subject, like, okay, so like, when you talk about, trying to get gay guys to have some sort of self-respect so that they stop being, sleeping around unprotected speed sex constantly. Like, you can just riff about that, like you can just stream of consciousness. It's not like, if that's easier for you to get your feet in the water, go right ahead, because you have a number of things to talk about. So
all right.
I'm a scripter, but that's, I literally have a degree in that. So
yeah, I'm an off the cuff type person. I'll do it.
Okay.
I like being badgered about it too. That helps.
Yeah, well, it would just be really cool if because like I'm going on Honey Badger on Monday, and I'm gonna be like giving the update about everything that I've been doing, and it'll be like, yeah, I have still doing Gaytriarchy. I have a new co-host, and blah blah blah. I'll say something about you, and people would like to be able to go check out your channel.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, gays and self-respect is definitely something, and also just like men realizing like, yeah, don't be an idiot so that you get your ass beat, like, because you're a dude and dudes will not treat you like they treat women.
I mean, they might sort of do the whole like, okay, I'm gonna be cool about this in front of a girl.
Have you guys seen, it's a really old video, but it's one of these like classic anti-feminist videos that like everybody tries to point to say, look at how hateful and misogynistic they are. And then I go and watch it and I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. I probably had like dozens of experiences like that, right? People like link to an AVFM article, oh my God, this is horrible. And you're like, this is amazing satire. This is like brilliant. But what it was John the Other, criminally undersubscribed. This video he did, it was like why I don't care about rape victims, basically. And the whole point of it was like, no, I'm not going to endanger my own life to intervene if like a woman's being victimized. And like, how dare you say that should be the expectation for me? Like, how dare you make that the presumption that I have to always sacrifice myself? And making a larger point about how, the way that this care and concern and this sympathy has been weaponized is just so despicable. But, it really, like, a lot of it goes back to that. And there's just so many things could have been avoided if we had just like really taken that message to heart, and then for women, you had Camille Paglia saying like, when women were fighting for the right to be promiscuous and to go out at night and not have their curfew, they perfectly well understood that there were risks involved. And they said, I would rather have my freedom and be at risk and be allowed to make my own choices, and we've totally doubled back on that entire idea, and it's this sort of like neo-traditionalist, it's gynocentric traditionalism, post-feminism, which is like all of the bad things about traditionalism with absolutely no benefit for men, where they're expected to, sacrifice themselves, and then women have absolutely no agency prescribed to them whatsoever.
Yeah, they're absolutely treated as children, and then they end up acting as children so often. Like there's so many women who it's like they take this all to heart, and then when confronted with situations of reality, they do cry sexism and stuff. Like they invent yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Well, I just heard this crazy story about like talking about women taking known risks. There was a report about how Latin American women who are on, with coyotes, looking to immigrate, looking to go to North America, and knowing that they're highly likely to be raped during that journey. Therefore, they're like taking lots and lots of birth control pills all the way up, right? And it's just known, and it's a risk that they're like, yeah, it's gonna happen. So, but I want to go to North America. So,
wow.
Well, it's Trump's fault, because instead of building a bridge, it should be an automatic walkway, just like they have in the airports across the fucking border. They wouldn't need so much birth control if they could just power walk it.
Yeah.
You Republicans.
No, that's why it's going to be so brilliant when if Trump ends up debating Kamala Harris, and by the way, apparently he's shopping he's having nicknames thrown at him for his campaign, and I really hope he picks up Kamala Hairspray. I don't think there's going to be a better one. Like I know that's a little bit talking up myself, but like that's all you need to know about her, is that she's like a dumb blonde that looks kind of mocha, basically. Like that's all she is. But, like she literally thinks that there should be no borders. Like, I mean, one molecule away, she thinks that anybody detained at our borders should have the right to an attorney.
Well, yeah, borders are divisive.
And so it's going to be so funny, like seeing her try to defend that position to Trump. Like, let's see if you can outmaneuver him talking that point. I wonder,
and that's I think that's the attitude that Trump has too.
He's like, please do. This is where I really shine. As much as he may enjoy doing things like the prison reform bill and getting to talk to Kanye West about it, I think what he prefers doing is humiliating people.
Oh yeah, he's in it for the attention.
This is funny. I just learned Kamala Harris's mother's name is Shamala Harris.
Oh my god.
Kamala Shamala. Like, that's literally the name, Shamala.
There must have been so many times growing up where there was like, you know, I don't know, they're at the some sort of office, you know, like getting her first learner's permit, and it's like, you know, the Kamala Shamala, like the office is just the person at the desk just like rolling their eyes, like, okay.
It's like, really? Like,
You thought
man,
that
I'm so sensitive to retarded names because, sorry, not retarded. I mean, stunning and exceptional.
you know, your exception
names
you're sensitive to names of retard.
Yes, names of retard. Yes, because I worked for like an answering service, and we had to write messages all the time. And when you're taking a proper message, you spell back their name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, not only am I like taking down their name, spelling it back, and the caller is always groaning because, oh, you have to spell it back to me, right? And it's like, yeah, like yeah, I'm gonna send this as text. It's gonna look stupid, like. and when I send this and it looks like I punched the keyboard, I want an audio recording of me spelling this garbage back to you. Like,
have you seen those like typo cakes where people like they go online to like write messages on cakes, but their messages have all these typos in it, and then the cakes come back with these terrible typos?
Yeah, because they should have hired an answering service so that I could have spelled it back to them. That's why it's a legitimate industry. It's a very good service. One that not a lot of people know about, you know. I think that'd be a great concept for like a sitcom, is people working for like an answering service, because like you take all the different calls of like literally anything. I kind of want to make an answering service for all of the companies that like nobody wants to do business with because everybody thinks they're evil and hateful.
But an answering service is just like a live voicemail, you write it down and you get and the person gets a letter, like a transcribed voicemail.
Yeah, like the most common version of it is like at night, rather than switching to a voicemail, you could have your calls redirected to a live person, and then that person will talk to them. Like, first of all, they're like a real human being, not like a voicemail. And then, you know, oh, I'm sorry, they're not available right now. Let me take your name and number. Okay, what's it regarding? Cool. I'll file it under whatever. It gets sent to a certain email address or something.
Oh, that's nice. I want that for my little business I got. And because instead of like getting in all these freaking emails that I have to respond to, I need an answering service.
Yeah, and also because like voicemail sucks. Like sitting through voicemails and listening to them is like the worst thing ever. It's like literally hell. Literally, like that's one of Dante's rings of hell, is having to like check your voicemails and like write down notes with pen and paper. Gross. Like, it's so much easier to just just get emails.
Voicemails?
You can control F that crap. You know,
especially if they're like soft spoken, and then you have to like listen for the fucking number that they're gonna tell you back, and it's just like a dog. Like, I have to listen to this thing like 5 times to understand what you're saying.
Exactly. It's Ickens. Voicemails, dead media.
All right, you've sold me.
Dang it! Too bad. I don't work for them anymore. Dang it! Like.
They're gonna make Google's gonna have an AI answering service where you think it's a live person, but you're just talking to an AI.
Oh my god, that's gonna be so cool! I can't wait until you can like customize your own AI to like be your own receptionist for you.
Oh my god, you will have such a good time with that. I want to meet your receptionist AI.
I want to just make a bunch of friends that are all robots.
Like,
I don't care. Yeah, like those, like the bear things. We had a circus pizza, and it was all of the circus pizza bears, and then they turned it into a Chuck E. Cheese. But I think they kept the bears anyway, so like the branding was really weird.
I
loved them. I thought they were great.
When I see movies that have like artificial intelligence, like literally in the movie AI, every time there's something bad happens to one of the robots that you're supposed to like start viewing as humans, it's always so sad to me. Like, I'm always like, oh no, but he's real.
Did you see Alita?
No.
It's the new.
I heard it was good. But like, why are her eyes so big?
Oh, I seen it. It's pretty good.
But she's not
actually.
human. She
Yeah,
wasn't
she's
even.
like a robot.
But like, she's not human, and I don't want to like give you spoilers, but.
Yeah, I'll tell you that much. She's not human.
Oh, you saw it?
I did.
Oh, I loved it. It was so good.
Me too. It's
Mhm.
really good.
Is it? How can I see this?
See what? The movie,
This-
Alita?
Yeah. Is it out?
Yeah, you make sure to see it either like in IMAX or 3D or something. It's
Oh,
worth
it's
it.
currently out. Okay.
I said produced by James Cameron, directed by Robert Rodriguez, I think.
Oh wow.
Fuck that! I'm gonna pirate it and watch it with a bunch of pixels broken across my screen. It's the remix.
Mahershala Ali's in it. The guy from Inglourious Bastards is in it. It's cyborgs in a apocalyptic future, and it related. Wait, we were talking about something that it related to. Robots. AI.
Oh yeah, AI.
Oh yeah, because you get sad, you get emotionally connected to the characters of the movie. And you're like in the movie you have human characters who become cyborgs throughout the film, and then like it's like kind of weird.
And then stuff happens.
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy, wait, I have two things. Sorry, I was interrupted by my food 2 different times. I didn't realize how quickly they would start bugging me and then bring it over. I was thinking it would be like, an hour like it usually is. But the one thing I was just going to say really quick, and I don't remember why we were talking about this that well, was that all of these things that, okay, so like, trans women and I guess regular women who are interested in men's rights get accused of being, posers that are doing it for selfish reasons. And then also like nonconformist gay men, who don't toe the party lines, get accused of being self-hating gays. I don't get any of that. Like, I don't think I've ever had a straight guy tell me. No, you said that you get the guys accusing you of that. I've never had a straight guy try to be like, you only pretend to care about gays or male issues. It's a trick. It's a trick. Nobody says that to me. And also nobody ever shows up to call me a self-hating gay man. I've never gotten that for some reason. And I don't know why exactly, aside from the fact that I'm like the only gay MRA out there. So maybe it would be pretty hard to argue that case, but it doesn't stop them from calling all sorts of other people that. So I don't know. I don't know.
I get more attacked for being a quote unquote like healer. People will use this label against me. Like they say, oh, you were a healer because I did sound healing for a long time, and they'll be like, as if that means like I was like a fundamental religious person, like you're a healer, you can't like do certain things, and like how can you have these opinions? Like, it wasn't so much about being gay. People almost never attacked me for being gay because that was actually then I could be like, if you attacked me for being gay or self-hating gay, then I could actually turn that on you,
Also, when you use healing spells on the undead, it hurts them. Everybody forgets that.
But I would get these comments more on my posts about like, oh, I thought you were like this new age hippie healer person. I can't believe, or I get like my party friends from New York being like, oh, I thought you were this like super cool party promoter guy. I can't believe you actually care about your country and are like politically involved.
Yeah, you're supposed to hate your country and yourself.
Like I had this Bulgarian that I knew from New York City. He's a Bulgarian pop star that I knew from New York because I like, we like sucked each other's dicks once and we would go to the same clubs. And he's sexy. And then he attacks me on Facebook for supporting the wall or something. And I'm like, dude, you're not even American. You're fucking Bulgarian. You don't even live here. Like, why do you care so much?
He doesn't even live here.
No, like
Oh, God.
he would just go to New York to to socialize with the artists there and like steal their ideas and then go make music videos in Bulgaria.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I hate the I mean, I can't say I hate it because it's just a fact of life. Like, hipster plagiarism is just a thing. It just, you can't really stop it exactly. But it is very frustrating when you realize that there's some people who have like definitely monetized it and like regularly do it. Like there's this artist in Seattle who I thought was maybe kind of cool, but he's just a tired, old, grumpy, washed up like he, if he was ever actually cool, it would have been several years ago, and now he just has the right sort of status, and knows where to go to be around the trendy young people. And the thing is, he doesn't even drink. So, but he's always at bars. You always see him and stuff. And he looks like he's cool. He has all these tattoos and stuff. And what he does is he makes T-shirts and stuff. Like, I think that he probably largely sells T-shirts, but I guess also posters and stuff. And they a lot of them revolve around people probably in their early to mid 20s, the type of things that they are talking about. And so he would make a lot of art about girls that would say woo, and he called them woo girls, because that was a thing that was happening a lot. But I was like, I started thinking about it, and I was like, wait, he doesn't even drink, but you see him at the bars. He's probably just like ripping off drunk, 22-year-old drag queens and stuff. From all of, and he's like goes around like listening to like the funny things that they say, and then he like steals it and puts it on a T-shirt. And I mean, like, whatever, I guess that's how life works when you say things, but it makes me feel icky. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's especially if there's not like real credit being given. There was a whole deal where this comic Carlos Mencia, I guess, was stealing other comics material, and then he was a more notable comic and was using it in his acts. So he would go to Vegas and different comedy clubs, like not known comics, steal their jokes. And this was like a known thing apparently that no one did anything about until not too long ago. Joe Rogan actually, during one of Mencia's shows, like stormed the stage, grabbed the microphone, and just started like calling him out on stealing people's jokes.
Wow.
Oh.
No, yeah, that was crazy. And then I remember actually it was Jimmy Kimmel like called him out. I forgot what exact show. I think it was like a Comedy Central like award show or whatever. And he made a quip about like, hey, Comedy Central, if you're, so concerned about polluting the airwaves, you should cancel Mind of Mencia. And that was probably the funniest joke that Jimmy Kimmel ever made since the Man Show stopped.
But he probably started he probably did that after Joe Rogan did that, meaning that he was stealing the idea from Joe Rogan.
I think yeah, right.
Totally bandwagoning.
Joe Rogan is such like the working man's hero.
He's just not afraid of conflict whatsoever. Like,
yeah, because he could whoop anyone's ass.
I don't know. I still think some of the shit he's gotten up to has been pretty bitch made. Like he really backstabs a lot of his guests a lot. Like I was really surprised Alex Jones even went on his show. And I was even more surprised that there was like absolutely no attempt at like an apology or anything from Joe Rogan.
What did he do to Alex Jones? I don't know.
Totally threw him under the bus after he got deplatformed. He didn't stand up for him at all. It was like,
well, okay, but see, here's the thing I would say about here's the thing about Joe Rogan. I think that Joe Rogan really, really plays his cards right in terms of what he can get away with and what he will say at any given time. And I think there's a lot of subtext with Joe Rogan. I think that he knows that he cannot say certain things out loud, and he chooses not to, but he probably will say off air to people certain things. Just the way he negotiates certain things, it seems pretty clear to me that there's a lot of things going on, and he would have to be like that.
He's definitely a pragmatist.
He's been in Hollywood for a really long time. Like he was on the show News Radio in the 1990s. That's where he like became famous and met everybody. Because he's actually like 55, even though he looks like he's 40.
Wow.
Yeah, or like 56 by now, probably. He's fucking old.
It's that butter in the coffee. That's how you do it.
He probably practices some crazy martial art or something that keeps him young.
Well, he is a martial artist. I mean,
Yeah.
that's well known. Like he did Taekwondo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a long time.
Yeah, he's probably doing some like
Some Tai Chi or something. But no, I mean, he's a really healthy guy. It's hard to say, but I think that there's just certain things like, okay, for example, he had this bit. You guys should actually look this up. Justin Bieber's pastor. Joe Rogan, Justin Bieber's pastor, because there's pictures of Justin Bieber with this guy that's like supposed to be his pastor, but the guy is like walking around with his shirt off, and he has him hanging down so far that you can like see where your where the testicles and dick sort of start to come from the torso, and he starts calling it dick root. He's like, no, what is that? Oh God, pull your pants up, you goddamn creep. We shouldn't be able to see dick root. That's fucking gross. God. And like, but what's funny though is that the obvious thing that everybody's in, like, there's a picture of that guy and Justin Bieber with his arm around Justin Bieber that's leaked, and the guy is like pretty hot. Like, I'd do him. Everybody's saying that it's Justin Bieber's secret boyfriend. Like, that's
definitely
like sort of and that's what it seems to be. But Joe Rogan found a way to bring that up, and he was like, yeah, he's a pastor. I don't trust preachers like that. I don't trust them. Like, there's always like some hip young guy with like abs and everything, and then it turns out he's just doing half of the young women who are going to it. He's just dicking chicks down left and right. Never trust. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, Joe Rogan has to have thought of the notion that it's actually Justin Bieber's boyfriend, but he's wanting to talk about this and show the picture so that people can do that for himself, and then he gets to be like, oh, I had no idea later.
Yeah, definitely. He knows how not to like get blackballed.
Yeah, because you would have to if you've been around as long as, I mean, and also be able to keep getting as good of guests as he gets. Like, he just had Mike Tyson on. Like, how would you get a long form interview where Mike Tyson's talking about doing DMT unless you like really know not to spill any dirty secrets? Like,
oh my, his pastor is fine. I just now saw a picture.
Let's share that. Yeah, let's do this. Hold on.
Let's creep everybody out for a moment.
I like that term, dick root. It's just
it's funny, right?
Too good.
It's pretty hot.
It's because it is like I would totally do this this alleged pastor.
I saw,
absolutely.
The first time that that pastor and Bieber came on the scene, like they did some YouTube thing, and I the first thought I had was like, oh, they're boning, definitely. So I'm glad Joe Rogan saw it.
Yeah,
they got bone and eyes. You can tell.
But yeah, if Justin Bieber was gay, you couldn't out him. Like, you would get in a lot of trouble. Like, you maybe some businessmen might put a hit out on you. Like, judging by all the merch that it's probably sold to young girls because they have a crush on Justin Bieber. Like, you couldn't just ruin that for whoever's selling all those concert tickets and posters and everything, thinking that someday they're going to maybe get a chance with Justin Bieber.
Right.
And even if they say he's bi, it's still an issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Watch it. You can see it show up purple because clearly I've Google image searched this before. Yeah, here's the picture that he was talking about.
Oh my.
It's true though.
And look
has,
how
like-
happy Bieber looks.
Yeah, he's like, so what if they see us together with my shirt off? I don't care. I'm gonna throw it off to the side. And he's like, you know what? Yeah. I'm so glad I decided not to go on tour. This is the guy that he said. That's why people think that they must be lovers. Is that like this guy convinced him to like stop going on tour
Yeah.
somehow?
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah.
I like how shirtless is in quotes, like allegedly shirtless.
Yeah.
And he has that face where you can tell that he'd probably have a big dick.
Oh yes, honey.
Like guys with noses that look like that.
Well,
tend
just
to-
look how
tend to
happy
have-
Bieber looks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure
satisfied.
big dick face is the face on the other person, right?
Look at this.
Yeah.
Honey. It's okay, Bieber. I know you're a size queen.
Wait, hold up. This is the shirt around the arm around the.
Oh.
He's like, see that girl over there? I'm gonna go fuck her. Or, oh yeah, where do you want to eat? I'm not sure. It's like, what's that? That's like no, it's Italian. I don't want to do Italian.
So the
Man,
cover story is
15
his pastor. Wow.
15-minute parking would be a great title for like a porno.
Let's see if this.
Oh my god, it could be like Slacker style. It'll be all artsy where it just focuses on one 15-minute parking spot and different things that happen in 15 minutes at the one parking spot, and it'll be all long shots. That would actually be a good porn. That would be an Oscar-winning porn. I just cracked the code. You're welcome, everyone.
They keep fucking touching. I mean, they're not that discreet about it.
But it's his pastor.
Yeah, I mean,
Just pastor guys.
Well, you know what they say. You don't hold each other too close, otherwise there's no room for the Holy Spirit. That's why you always leave a little space for the Holy Spirit. They're not doing that.
Ew, this is such a terrible outfit. What is he doing? Ew.
The fake glasses are weird.
No, they're not fake though. You can see in this part that there is a lens.
They're
in
like,
there.
yeah, there's like some magnet.
But like, why would you get that frame?
I remember I had
because
a
it makes him look
coworker.
less attractive.
I had a coworker who was wearing just new frames with no lenses in it, and we're like, "How come there's no lenses in your glasses?" And she's like, "I can't afford the lenses yet." So she's just wearing the glass frame.
Again, them touching each other.
Oh,
With a hand on the butt.
Mm. Oh, enough shirt on too, honey.
Wait, is that? No, that's not the same guy. This is him holding hands with some chick. That's probably a model that was paid to be there.
And he looks a lot less interested, doesn't he?
Right.
I
No
know.
big smile on that face.
That's
Yeah, let's see if there's another. Now I have that.
I
song.
wonder if like there were all these photos and then they had to make up a cover story after the fact, and they're sitting there like, I took some theology classes. I could like say I'm a pastor, you know, and
Yeah. Well, or like maybe he thought for a while that he like that was his like way of being closeted for a long time, because that happens. Like that's like not an uncommon story at all. It's like I'm gonna go into the priesthood. Oh fuck it. You know, like,
Yeah, they needed to come up with a cover story for his Midwestern female base, you know?
yeah, and like why would this guy, because this guy went on tour with him for a while and then convinced him to like not be on tour anymore. So he had to be like, okay, why would this guy like actually need to be there? Okay, he's
I know.
offering me religious, and Justin Bieber did come from a religious family. Like his they when he was because I watched the movie about him, the Never Say Never documentary. Did you guys see that?
No.
I did not watch that.
I think I did, actually.
It's kind of good. It's kind of a good movie. And the thing is about Justin Bieber is that I need to not be presenting to everyone. Okay. So the thing is about Justin Bieber is that he actually played drums first. That was his first thing before he was a singer.
Mhm.
And he also plays guitar. He's actually quite talented. He can play drums really, really well. And that's why he ended up pursuing music, is because for some reason he started drumming when he was like only 4 and was like trying to act like he was drumming, and so that his church raised money to buy him a drum kit, and so he got a drum kit when he was really, really little. And so yeah, I mean, it's like he's always been close with his church and everything. I'm sure that, because of that, like I'm sure it's now like a fancy mega church or something, yeah.
I heard his like first song without seeing the video, and I thought it was a little black girl.
Oh, you know what? This is a funny thing.
Like if you close your eyes and you listen to his really, so he sounds like a little black girl.
I like the one
You
that's
can't
like,
unhear it.
I like the one where he says like, "My mama don't like you, but she likes everyone." That's actually kind of a catchy song. That's the only one I like though. Hold on. Now I'm wanting to show you guys Magic Johnson's son. Have you seen this crap?
No.
No.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense. So
Oh my.
Oh, I have seen this.
but he's worth like $200 million because he has a fashion line.
Yeah.
Oh, I read the thing and I thought his name was EJ Recount. And I'm like,
Do you know
I wish
anything
his
about
last name was
his...
a Recount. I don't know dick about this,
Do you
but
know
this
anything
is
about
really
his
funny.
fashion line?
What?
His fashion line?
No, what was it called?
Oh, no, do you know anything about it? Or is he
No.
transitioning or what?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's just kind of like who was the guy who won the first season? Jay, whatever, from Project Runway. I think he's just one of those.
Yeah, and
creamy
then he
ass
just like
designers.
phased out. He just like he won and he just like took the money. He's like, okay, bye.
Oh my god.
He's got his contour on.
And he's just wearing a
point.
full dress right there. Like, did he just rip his wig off? Like, I'm not understanding this outfit.
He doesn't even have heels on. He's just standing on his toes.
Oh my god. This is the weirdest picture.
He's a visionary.
Maybe he had just like taken an Ambien and he started forgetting that he's no longer. It's like, no,
Dude,
no, you need to be going to sleep. And he's like, I'm supposed to perform. You already performed. That was 3 hours ago.
Oh my god.
Any of these celebrity kids though could totally just like write in a note, an archive somewhere, just like this is a bunch of bullshit. I'm just gonna like fuck with people and wear whatever I want and just see what happens with it. Like, just as like a like how fun would that life be?
Oh,
Like,
dude,
fuck
that'd
it,
be
I'm just gonna
awesome
wear
just to
this.
troll a whole bunch of people.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to like release like a time capsule of like I planned all this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Oh.
I guess
he
this is
planned
what
all of
happens when you're the first kid that everybody knows that your dad has HIV. This is how you end up.
Oh my.
I don't know why y'all messing with me. I'm rich.
Oh, honey, that is just fabulous.
I like the gut underneath the button down. That's a nice touch.
That's a nice peekaboo area.
There we go. That's it.
I feel
I'm
like
not
the
up
only
and up
thing
on the
missing
terms.
is like
Oh,
a belly button ring is like the only thing missing there.
I
or
remember
a
the
hat.
question. I remember the question I had for you, Sayomi. If
Uh-huh.
you have an opinion, because I know that you're like a right-wing trans woman, I wanted to ask you, what is your opinion about the rumors of Michelle Obama being trans?
Well, I can kind of see where they would get the idea from, but
She
I don't
doesn't.
know.
She doesn't set off your trans star.
She does. She does like visually a bit, but I would need. I haven't seen like anything proving otherwise, rather than just kind of look wise a bit.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Though it's funny that Barack Obama has been caught twice accidentally calling her Michael.
I know that is
Right?
like the
Smoking
funniest thing,
gun.
though.
She is packing dong. I don't care what anyone says. She is packing dong. I'm on the record.
Well, to be fair, he could be into some shit, and she could be using a strap on. And then he's like, Michael, Michael, or so. You never know about these things.
Well, and it is
See,
so.
but would part of the fetish be
Yeah,
like,
maybe
hey,
she's
Michelle Obama, wear
FTM.
this strap on this TV show? You know what I mean? Like, because like that a lot of the footage is like stuff that's like her like on interviews and stuff where it's like, dude, I don't know. No, I do know. I'm like 110% sure Michelle Obama's a man. She's gonna do the Lance Bass / Ricky Martin play where you have to like wait until you're semi-irrelevant and then like come out, you know? And then she's gonna run for president as the first transsexual president.
like Aaron Carter.
Mhm.
Well, is Aaron Carter gay now?
I think that he either is gay or bisexual, but he has HIV.
Ooh. Oh, really?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely gay.
No, because I went to his concert with Sister Danger a few years ago. I think I've told you this, Spacepan, because she knew some people in the opening act. Like, okay, so there was such a tragic concert if you think about it. The band that was playing when we got there was like a cover band. And I don't remember any of their songs besides they did All Star by Smash Mouth. Was like their closing number, and everybody kind of sang along, you know. And then it was my friend's Sister Danger, her friend's band, which is just 4 guys. One of them is like a choreographer. And so he wanted to have a band that was like, you know, actually his thing. So he was like, you know, kind of hot, you know, hot body, really particularly good dancer. And then the other 3 guys are just like guys who look like they were like half drunk and doing it to get laid, you know, like I'm gonna make a fool out of myself by lip syncing to In Sync, and then girls will throw themselves at me, and it works. I think you know, like I think they're getting a good bargain out of that. And so she knew one of those, like the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aaron Carter was the headliner. But the opening acts were so much more entertaining. Like Aaron Carter was not very entertaining. He was very, very emaciated and was wearing this like big hooded sweatshirt and you know, performing like he was into it, but the crowd wasn't really that into it. It was very awkward, and I felt bad for him. But the weirdest thing about it was this guy who said he was friends with Aaron outside, like he was hard to understand because he was like, I mean, he was talking like he was high, and it turns out he definitely was. He offered us heroin and wanted us to go back to like his hotel room, and I think that the idea was that Aaron was going to be over there and they were going to be doing a bunch of like heroin and shit. Because I was talking to Sister Danger, and he was like, do you guys want to get smacked in the face? And we're like, what? He's like, smacked in the face. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, smack. Do you want some? And she's like, no. And she just like turns and like walks away. And I'm like, I didn't even hear what he said. You know? And she's like, she kind of like grabs my hand, you know, because I used to actually do that type of thing. I think maybe that's what she was thinking in her head. She's like, no. But so it was this weird thing where it was like, maybe he got it from injecting things. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, if you look at pictures of him, he definitely has the meth heroin face.
Yeah, oh, he really does. Like he looks like when you know are right when you go to the gas station by trailer park, and there's somebody who's, you know, like trying to get a 40 for less amount of money, you know, like, oh man, I mean, I'll get you back tomorrow. It's like, no, I don't believe you. It's like, no man, I got you every time I got you. No, last time you didn't. Like, it would be that guy. He's kind of what he looks like. So yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I have no reason to think he's a bad guy, and like I just don't even know his music. Like there's people who are in, and you know, he's an example of what's tragic about the music industry. Like the record label puts you out, you get a hit or two, but then what happens is you become in debt to your label because they spend a bunch of money on promotion, and then they tour you around making money off of you for like the rest of your life. That's what happened.
That's how Avicii died.
That's what happened to the guy from Stone Temple Pilots. Was touring till the day he died, and his I don't know if it was his ex-wife, but the mother of his children wrote this like really, really sad article after it, and she was like, you know, honestly, I am as much as I want to say that I'm sad and everything is horrible that my children have lost their father. We lost him a really long time ago. He hasn't been the same man as what he used to be. He was, you know, being toured around, propped up when he was often so drunk and high that he would forget the words to his own songs, and like crap like that. And it's just basically about how he was exploited. It's really sad to think about. So, yep. Okay.
That's basically what happened to Avicii if you watch the Netflix documentary.
Oh, I didn't know that there was a documentary. I should get Netflix again.
But Avicii was nonstop touring for all up until his death, and even in the documentary, there's like on record of him talking about how much it was draining him.
Yeah, he was the guy who had that one EDM song that's all like, "My father said someday you're gonna die, so live a life that remember." Yeah, that's the only thing I knew of that guy.
I like the new model of music where like people who are just celebrities for whatever just decide I'm gonna make a fucking album now. Screw it, right? Like who is it? Like the greatest YouTuber of all time. What's her name?
Oh, Bragosi or whatever.
I'm spacing on it.
Yeah, so it's something Bragosi or whatever. The Cash Me Outside girl.
Oh, Danielle Bregoli is amazing. Yeah, that's why didn't I think of that? Of course, that's a great example. But no, her channel is Blonde Sundoll for MJ. What's her name? It's driving me crazy. I don't remember her name. This is stressing me out a lot right now.
Well,
we lost Saiyomi.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and also my food is here, and I should be going to eat.
Trisha Paytas. That's what I'm thinking of. Trisha Paytas.
Okay. Well, anybody who's still watching, thank you so much for tuning in. We have been the Gaytriarchy. We try to do our shows every Saturday. Sometimes we might do them on other days. I hope that you will be back, and remember to have your super chats for me, or you could just send me money on PayPal. That works too. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.